Hello, my name's Max and I'm from a charity called U-Turn for Support. As you are aware, it's coming up to Men's Mental Health Month, and Mind have personally asked me to do a short campaign video on my take on the subject, whether I have any tips and advice for people struggling, which I do, and just a general message for those out there that need it. So I have written it down. It's not any less heartfelt or useful. It's just that it's hard to remember, and I want you to get the best that you can out of this video. So Mind asked me, what does looking after your mental health mean to me personally, and do I have any useful tips I can give? Now, I think the term looking after your mental health is going to be person dependent. I think it will look slightly different to everyone, but I'm a great believer that there are foundations of a stable mindset, and a stable mindset for improvement, and those foundational sort of tips that we can all do, whether they will vary a little bit in style. We can all sort of follow these foundations to try and get us back on the right track if we've fallen off, or even if we've fallen way off, to try and get us a little bit sort of back to being ourselves again, even if it's just a tiny bit. So for me, looking after my mental health means, first of all, this is foundation number one, which is taking care of my physical self. So those that are watching this video won't know, but I used to be quite overweight. I think I was over 20 stone at one point. So and at my lowest. So taking care of my physical health, then in turn sort of knocked on and improved the rest of my life, including my mental health. But for me, it started with the physical. I mean, I didn't feel great. And once I did start getting into it, my self-esteem went up, my confidence went up, and therefore sort of made better decisions and choices. So foundation number one is physical. Even if it's just a walk, just getting what you can. It could be a run, could be a walk, could be walking a dog. Just get moving, get out there. I know it's easy to sort of fall into that pit, but just the more you can do that, the better you will feel. I promise you there is the end goal to that. So that's foundation number one. So foundation number two is diet. Now, I'm not asking you to be this super clean eating influencer, or I'm not asking you to be Joe Wicks or just any of those sort of high profile clean eating people, but just whatever the little step is you can do today to clean up your diet a bit. So is that so if you have for instance, if you had a pastry in the morning, can you swap that for some eggs? Can you throw an avocado in for your lunch? Dark chocolate is a great brain food. Blueberries are great brain foods. Salmon is a great brain food. So just try and include some of these foods. You do not have to be perfect, but just, again, it's little steps towards a big outcome. So foundation number one is physical. Foundation number two is diet. For sure, no doubt, that will have the biggest impact on how you feel. So foundation number three, which is stress relief. This could be meditation, this could be yoga, this could be sitting in a sauna, this could be getting a cold plunge. For me, it's cold showers. That shock of the cold shower really wakes me up, brings me out of any pit I might be in, and sort of almost resets the balance, if you like, and makes me feel sort of a little bit like myself again. So now we have foundation number one is exercise. Foundation number two is diet. Foundation number three is stress relief. For me, cold shower. Could be for you, it could be a sauna. For you, it could be yoga, meditation. Whatever you feel like. This is where the variables will come in. It's just important that we get the foundations right. So foundation number four, and again, I know that when we feel at our lowest, this is not something that is top of our priority list, but it is socializing. It is having that solid network of people that you can turn to if you are struggling. So doesn't necessarily have to be a partner. It could be friends, it could be work colleagues. could be parents, could be siblings. Just have that network of people around you that you can turn to at your lowest point, and they can sort of bring you back around. Now, it doesn't even have to. It can be a sports club if you live like sort of far away from your family and friends. It could be a sports club. Yeah, sorry. So just get out there, meet people, socialize. As hard as it may be, just force yourself to do that. So now we have the 4 foundations for me, which is physical, exercise, diet. So include your blueberries, your dark chocolate, your salmon. All those healthy brain foods is going to go a long way towards your mindset. 3 is stress relief. For me, is a cold shower. It could be sauna, it could be meditation, it could be golf, it could be yoga. Just find your outlet and stick to it. This is where the variables change. And then number 4 is socializing. So don't sit indoors feeling like crap on your own. Get out there. Even if you really don't want to, just make plans. Even if they're only 10-minute plans, just to see a friend, have a chat, have a coffee. Yeah, I am a great believer of how you feel inside is how you will see the world. So just do what you can to try and implement those, and you might feel a little bit better long term. Right, so that brings me to useful tips. Now, there is one tip I want to share for high stress situations when you feel like you may have lost a bit of control, or if you're feeling overly anxious or overly stressed, and it is called the physiological sigh. Now, it's something that has saved me plenty of times. It's something that has saved me plenty of times in high pressure situations, and it is a deep inhale followed by a sharp inhale. And then a long exhale. So it will look something like this. Now, it may look silly, it may look like mumbo jumbo, but if you do 5 or 10 of them, it will relax you. It is science, so please try it and see how you feel. Right, so now we move on to why do I think it's important for men to talk about their mental health. Now, the obvious one is obviously that men don't talk enough. There is a stigma around it still. I know it is 2025, but men do not talk enough. Society is catching up. It is starting to catch up. For me, it's still not fully there yet. But I think as a whole, we are getting there. There is a topic I want to touch on, which is the aspect of social media. So the whole culture around social media now is you have to constantly be the best, you have to constantly be productive, you have to constantly be pushing. Now, this is great. I am someone who pushes themselves. I am someone who tries to be productive, but on the flip side of that, if you're already having a bad day, which we all have them, and you then turn to social media and you see people living lives that you may want, and it's not going that way for you yet, that can add pressure, add stress, add anxiety, add all these range of emotions that sort of prior generations haven't had to deal with. Now, social media is a fake world. People are not living most of the time how they seem on social media, but when you're caught up in that moment, you're already feeling down, it's easy to see the wrong thing and just sort of run with it. So I think it's important for men to talk about that as well. I don't feel like men who are pushing themselves and who are trying to be productive talk about that enough, about that side of things. I think they do need to maybe take a moment and sort of be easier on themselves, and then again have that outlet to then talk about their struggles, because every person struggles. It's just, it happens to be men that we're talking about because it's Men's Mental Health Month. But within that struggle, you need that outlet. And if a man turns around and tells you he's not struggling, especially if it's a man that is pushing himself to try and do better for his family, for his loved ones, for his friends, they will have down days. So if that is you and you are trying to push yourself but you are struggling, then just find an outlet for that. Speak to someone about the struggle. For me, it's my partner and my mum as well, who always seem to be there to pick up the pieces. But just find that outlet and and do what you can to be honest about it. But yeah, obviously for me, it's still the stigma that still needs covering. But social media was definitely a topic I wanted to cover, as that seems to play a big part in our mental health now. It is not something that we've had to deal with as a society before now, so it is important to manage it more so than ever. So, do I have a message for someone that may be struggling? Yes, again, please get moving. Don't sit on your own. Don't fall into that pit. As easy as it is, it's easy for me to sit here at the other end of this camera and preach to you about not falling into a pit, but please, please, please just get moving. I actually have a little saying, if I'm feeling down and don't feel like doing anything, and I've also taught some of the kids I work with this saying, which is motion creates emotion. Now, maybe I'll push for Mind to make that their slogan. But yeah, motion really does create emotion. If you're feeling down, you're feeling sort of that lifeless, depressed feeling, then get up, get moving, because motion creates emotion. It really does. So, secondly, open up, talk to friends, talk to families, don't bottle it in. Accept that you feel the way that you do at the moment, and just don't push it away, let it in, but find an outlet to talk about it, and hopefully it will pass. Which brings me on to my third and final message for you if you are struggling, which is, it is all temporary. Now, every feeling, every thought that we have is temporary. So whether that's happiness, whether that's anger, whether that's joy, whether that's depression, regret, guilt, shame, all feelings. Now, you might be sitting there saying, well, I want to hold on to happiness, I want to hold on to joy, but that's not life. And there is something freeing in knowing the fact that however you feel now, you may not feel tomorrow. So however down you feel today, however rubbish you might feel, however lost you might feel, tomorrow you might feel different. And that is the wonder of it, is that feelings and thoughts genuinely do pass. They're temporary, they pass, the next one comes, spends its time in the spotlight, passes on, and that's the way thoughts and feelings tend to work. So my message for you is, it's only temporary, and keep looking at tomorrow. Thanks, Mind, for having me, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.